Do you know what I want more than anything in the world? A gaming computer with a new Nvidia graphics card in it, so maybe my friends on Fortnite won't tease me about my dad leaving me anymore. I know what I'll do. I'll guilt my mom into buying me the cheapest one of those off Amazon. Oh. I'm sure that won't end terribly. Luckily, I saved Timmy from their terrible PC buying decisions, which may or may not be the reason why their dad left, by punching Timmy in their tummy and stealing it from them. And in today's video, I'm going to first laugh at it and then turn it into something actually not terrible. Oh, that's not good. Potentially. But first, video sponsor. Tessellation, monohedral tiling, tetramino, and pentamino. I now understand these very impressive words and many others thanks to today's video sponsor, Brilliant.org. Brilliant is the best way for you to learn intimidating topics like math and computer science interactively from the comfort of the least ergonomic position you can manage on your couch. I'm learning. I've enjoyed their beautiful geometry course. But you can try any of the thousands of lessons Brilliant has to offer, free for 30 days. Just visit the link brilliant.org/Dawid or click the link below, and the first 200 of you will get 20% off of Brilliant's annual premium subscription. This glorified NAS-looking thing, which funnily enough shipped with a driver disk it doesn't have a hole for, apparently has an RTX 4070 in it, paired with some internal hardware that wasn't considered particularly powerful when it first launched several generations ago. So we should be getting about 30% utilization on our 4070, if we're lucky. Luckily for the aforementioned Timmy market, this freakishly endowed NAS does have some plastic RGB crap on the front, which is good. We also get buttons on the front and, I guess, usable front I/O. On the side, we've got this brushed metal finish with ventilation holes cut in it. It doesn't look like there's much getting through there, but in all fairness to Shuttle, I don't think they had a 4070 in mind when they designed this case. Around the back, there's a lot more going on. We've got a suspiciously small power supply. Next to that, there's some fin stack peeking through. I assume that's for the CPU cooler. And below that, we've got very NAS-esque I/O. We even have redundant Ethernet. Very nice. And then finally, below our hilarious quality control past sticker, we have the back of our 4070, looking a bit out of place back here. Oh. The first thing you see is the little Zotac RTX 4070, and what's cool about this card is I think it's the smallest version available of the 4070, so it's great for stuffing in tight holes. And then here we've got the passage where you normally install all of your hard drives, with some cooling for those hard drives as well, but because we've only got an SSD in the front here, most of that airflow will be hitting the CPU cooler, which we have further back here. Now the CPU cooler is fascinating because we have our actual fin stack back here, and then our 4 heat pipes that lead to the CPU a bit further off on the motherboard, which is quite a neat solution, but it does present an immediate problem. Our motherboard is not standard ITX or MATX, it's some weird proprietary shape, which is gonna make upgrading a bit more difficult. Aside from that, our power supply is also a bit funky. It's a 500 watt unit with 3 pretty puny 12 volt rails, and it's not SFX, so it may be a bit more difficult to swap this out, even without the upgrade. I'm curious to see how this 500 watt power supply holds up with the 4070. Oh, actually, going back to the CPU, this system has an Intel i5 7400 in it, a baby quad-core back from the dark ages of gaming CPUs. Putting a 4070 in here is like putting a Doberman heart in a Chihuahua. Those two things just anatomically aren't compatible. And to top it all off, they just put a single 8 gig stick of RAM in here as per the law of physics that dictates this crap. So not only do we have way too losery a CPU in here for the RTX 4070, they also kneecapped it. What? But on that note, let's fire it up to see just how much they've kneecapped it. Whoa, that's quite the authoritative startup right there. Oh, that RGB is like being high beamed in the face. Wow, that's quite the overclocking app we've got there. Let's see if it translates to RAM being at the correct speed. No, it doesn't. They brag about 3200 megahertz RAM on the box, but it's just set to 2400 megahertz. We don't have any bloatware on here because not even Mcafee would pay to be put on this system, which tells you a lot. You see, Timmy, that's exactly why you gotta spec your system up properly, because you may have a $600 GPU. Damn, is that what those cost? You may have a $600 brand new GPU in your system, but if you pair it with a NAS CPU from 18 years ago, you're gonna get 60 frames per second at 1080p high settings. Now, to try and overcome the graphics card falling asleep while waiting for the CPU to catch up, as you can see from the utilization crashing down to 20%, I cranked up the resolution. But the CPU was a bottleneck even at 4K. I guess we can try some newer games, but this pretty much illustrates my point. The graphics card doesn't even really know that gaming is happening. At least with a game like Cyberpunk, you can see that the CPU isn't a bottleneck at... Oh, no, it still is a problem in this game too. And then with The Last of Us, we have a frame time graph that makes it look like we're mid-generation defining earthquake. That's less than ideal. Now, after initially testing the Timmy Beta, I did drop a proper kit of RAM in there, which was not as easy as you would imagine. I had to try a couple of different RAM kits, and it took the system a long time to figure out what to do with the new RAM. And because of the useless BIOS, I couldn't set the RAM any higher than 2400 megahertz. But once we actually got into a game, the performance got a lot better, but the RTX 4070 is still barely hitting 40% utilization. So clearly, this is just a terrible system, but let's see if we can upgrade this system to unlock the full potential of the RTX 4070 inside. The first thing I wanted to establish was if I could replace the archaic deformed motherboard in the system with a modern ITX one. Not only does the I/O line up with the PCIe slot for the graphics card, but we at least have two holes that seems to line up. So we just need to hope that there's at least one hole down here that lines up, and then we should be good. Well, let's tear it down and see. Now luckily, it seems like all of the front I/O crap in the Timmy Beta is standard. Oh, look at our cute little Zotac 4070, about to be liberated from its bottleneck hell. Hopefully it doesn't catch on fire now. And now that we've got the graphics card out, we get a better indication of the screw situation down here, which is not looking very good for our ITX motherboard. I'm pretty sure we're not going to have more than 2 screws holding that board in place. Well, that's fine, you know, it's as long as we're not going to go throwing this out of airplanes, it shouldn't be a problem. And then with the power supply, it becomes an even weirder angle. Look at that. But after having unplugged the hordes of cables, I couldn't get the motherboard out. I am at least 60% sure that the CPU cooler is also a mounting point. Oh, there we go. Ooh, that is some bone-dry thermal paste. Okay, never mind. That was not what was keeping it in place. But it's nothing a quick shimmy couldn't fix. Oh, there we go. Such an unnecessarily long motherboard. Oh, so they used a bunch of thermal pads between the motherboard and the case. That's interesting. One thing that is very promising is we do actually have standoff mounts in the bottom of this case for normal motherboard shapes. So with that amazing news, I'm gonna go prep a new core system. Okay, it's snuck under there, so that's good. So we can just kind of... Oh. I even test fitted and everything, but because of the stupid power supply placement, I got the alignment wrong, so it doesn't fit, which means I need to use a much smaller CPU cooler. It's annoying. Well, I guess my next option is this little cooler that Be Quiet sent over, which is apparently good for 100 watts worth of TDP. Feels very, very unbelievably tight. I can't imagine combining this tiny cooler with a 12600K and that case isn't gonna end in a house fire, but let's see what happens. It fits! But I immediately ran into another problem. The standoff I used was a recovering victim of cross-threading, and all of the other ones I had lying around had a different issue. So the problem with every other standoff I have is that they're taller than the stock ones, so the motherboard's gonna be at a little bit of an angle, but I didn't have any other options, so I just powered ahead. Okay, there we go. The standoffy Mountitron works. Yes. There's a bit of a height difference, but it's not that bad. Let's see what happens when we drop a graphics card in. That's not ideal, but a bit of a panel gap's never hurt anyone. Comfortable with the knowledge I fixed all the problems, I powered ahead reassembling the system. Now the next problem that I'm very excited about running into is that the connector for the power button doesn't reach the motherboard. Oh, that came off real fast. Oh, that may actually be really easy to fix. So what they've done is routed the front panel connectors underneath this little daughter board thing. So I undid all of the cable routing they did, hoping I could just get a little bit more cable length to reach the motherboard. Oh, it reaches! Yay! Oh! Okay, very good. After which, I immediately ran into yet another problem. Oh no, come on. We're so close. The CPU power doesn't reach. Luckily, I have sleeved extension cables that we can use. Very convenient. And with that, I finished reassembling the significantly upgraded Timibator 9000 and installed a fresh copy of Windows so I could get to some gaming, which went well. Oh no, this has not gone well at all. Look at those CPU temperatures. I mean, it's still clocked okay, but 100 degrees Celsius is way too high. Now, if you ignore the fact that the CPU's hovering around 100 degrees Celsius, the performance is way better. With Battlefield 5 at 1080p, we're getting double the frame rate with the same graphics card, which is also now running very hot. But I think if we can rein in those CPU temperatures, we can do even better, which hopefully won't lead to spontaneous GPU combustion. Ooh, oh, that is all concerningly hot in here. And after burning my hand on the inside of the PC, I had a genius idea. I may not have official mounting for a 120mm AIO, but what if I just kind of rest it on the inside? No, it's super not gonna work. Is it super not gonna work? It's gonna be a lot of effort to see. Oh, I have to try. Clearly overjoyed at the prospect of tearing the system down again, I powered ahead anyway so I could mount the AIO to the CPU and see if I could finagle even more performance into the Timibator. This feels like there's no way it's gonna work. Why does it fit less than it did when I test fit it? What in the world? But despite my whinging, the motherboard is in. The more stuffing I did, the more it looked like this was actually gonna work, until I tried closing up the case. I don't know if I consider that bulging fitting. Does that count? I don't think that counts. Oh, that is so close. It's just bumping up against this damn power supply beam that's been in the way the whole time. At this point, I guess there's nothing left for it. Oh, that was not the sound of a Dremel falling on the ground due to negligence. So now, after my very professional drilling job, which definitely didn't break a drill bit, I think I should just be able to... Yay. Satisfied with a job well done, I reassembled the Timibator with great excitement. And we didn't even break this QC sticker, which means the manufacturer will have no way of knowing we tampered with the system. Smart. Oh yes, that's so much better. We're hovering around 60 degrees Celsius on the CPU, and we're close to 100% utilization on our RTX 4070, and this is at 1080p. We even got another healthy dose of more performance, especially in the 1% lows. So what I'm going to do now is game for a while so that we heat up all of the liquid in the AIO to see where the temperatures top out. Okay, well it's been a while, and while on the CPU we're getting close to 70 degrees Celsius, it does sound like there's a jet turbine on the desk next to me, but at least we're not sitting at 100 degrees Celsius on the CPU. So I'd say yeah, at the end of the day, we did a pretty good job making the Timmy Beta an actual proper gaming system that is very noisy. Thank you for watching, and until the next video, bye bye.